When you find the man of your dreams, he often becomes your whole world. And everything else starts to fade away. But what happens when your love for your man consumes you and you're forced to choose where your loyalties lie? When it comes time to make a choice, your ultimate decision might mean the difference between life and death. June 26, 2002. It's a beautiful afternoon in Windmore, Pennsylvania, an idyllic suburb located just north of Center City, Philadelphia.
Windmore was somewhere that you aspired to be as a homeowner.
Great schools, great shopping, wonderful restaurants. It's the most desired suburb outside of Philadelphia.
But later that evening, the tranquil setting is interrupted by flashing lights. A woman has called police after noticing her neighbor's front door wide open all day long.
She had a legitimate concern for the welfare of this neighbor.
Police make their way into the residence to do a welfare check on the homeowner, 50-year-old Shanita Glanville. But after they enter the home, the officers are shocked by what they find.
They find the man on the floor, dead.
He was shot once in the head, once in the torso, and once in the arm.
A woman who they believe to be Shanita is lying just a few feet away from the male victim.
They find her lying face down, 2 shots to the rear of her head.
She was killed execution style.
Who would want to gun down these 2 victims? And why?
People, they were shocked. They were confused. This kind of thing doesn't happen in that town.
As police try to make sense of this double homicide, they'll uncover a tangled web of deceit, where one woman's desire to please her man put those she loved in danger.
She was willing to do whatever it took to make sure her man was happy.
Chanel Cunningham was known for her warm personality and impeccable taste in fashion.
Chanel was beautiful. She was vibrant. Her smile lit up a room.
The fashionista was determined to own her own store one day.
Chanel was willing to work hard to have a store of her own. That was her dream.
At a party one night in February of 1998, Chanel crossed paths with someone who seemed like he could make all her dreams come true. Swanky businessman Maurice Phillips.
Maurice was a handsome, just brown-skinned young man, and she is absolutely awestruck by him.
He had swagger like nobody else. She was amazed by him.
Instantly, there's this connection.
Maurice and Chanel talked for hours.
He was smart. He had his own business. Maurice was everything that she had been looking for.
What she saw in him was someone who was just as driven as she was, just as ambitious. They were a perfect match.
From that night on, Chanel and Maurice were inseparable.
Once Maurice Phillips and Chanel started dating, things got intense.
Chanel felt like she hit the jackpot. She finally found a man that she could depend on, a man that could take care of things.
Chanel had found everything that she was looking for in Maurice. She was absolutely enamored by him.
If Chanel wanted a Prince Charming, Maurice stepped into that role immediately.
Maurice showered Chanel with exotic trips and a life of luxury.
Maurice, he gave the appearance of perfection. He took her to romantic places around the world and gave her what she thought she would never see.
Maurice and Chanel, they were doing it all. They went to Super Bowls, Celebrity All-Star Weekend basketball games.
Chanel not only fell in love with Maurice, she also fell in love with that lifestyle. And we're talking about a lifestyle of fancy cars, big houses.
In the summer of 2001, Maurice also made Chanel's dream of starting her own boutique come true.
He worked with her to start her own business, and just as he had done for himself, she was really inspired by him.
Because of Maurice, Chanel is really walking in the life that she's envisioned for herself.
But little did Chanel know that behind all of the bling, there was more to Maurice and his small business than met the eye.
Maurice was really looking for someone he could trust, and he saw that in Chanel.
Whatever he was doing, she became his ride or die.
June 26, 2002. Detectives have just arrived at the scene of a brutal double homicide at a residence in Winmore, Pennsylvania. The homeowner, Shanita Glanville, and a male victim have been found shot to death.
She had been killed execution style, 2 shots in the back of her head.
The man was shot once in the head, once in the arm, and in the torso as well.
Officers informed detectives that the male victim is Shanita's godson, Dane King, and that they suspect the murders occurred around 24 hours prior.
The police learned from neighbors that Dane King had just came down from Philadelphia to help Shanita with some computer issues.
Detectives believe the assailant wasn't after Dane, but his godmother.
The shooter probably didn't expect somebody else to be there.
It's a case of being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
But that's not the only reason detectives suspect Shanita Glanville was the killer's main target.
They knew Shanita was an informant.
Shanita had been working with detectives in their investigation of a local drug ring, and it seems the drug ring may have found out.
Shanita was ratting them out. They could have wanted to silence Shanita for good.
The hunt for Shanita and Dane's killer is on, and police think they know just who they're looking for. But what they don't yet know is that there's another suspect at the center of this brutal slaying. One whose loyalty veered towards love over friendship.
She would do anything for him. She got herself and her friend so engrossed in this that there was really no way out.
Chanel Cunningham thought she had finally found her Prince Charming in wealthy business owner Maurice Phillips.
He had given her the life that she had always wanted.
They were well known. They were established. People knew Maurice and Chanel when they walked down the street, and they respected Maurice and Chanel.
She had finally reached the point that she always dreamed she could be at.
But soon, a friend would threaten the lifestyle that Chanel had grown to love. And shots would ring out.
Chanel was ready to do whatever it took to keep Maurice safe, to keep her family safe, and keep them together.
June 26, 2002. Windmore detectives are investigating the brutal double homicide of Shanita Glanville and Dane King.
They find her with 2 shots to the rear of her head.
Next to Shanita is her godson, Dane King. He's found with multiple gunshots to the body.
Detectives believe Shanita's godson was an innocent bystander, and that Shanita was the targeted hit.
Shanita was working with the feds, working up a case against this immense drug operation.
It was a major cocaine empire that was spreading throughout the Northeast.
Shanita was ratting them out. They could have wanted to silence Shanita for good.
Shanita had started working with law enforcement just 1 month earlier, after her home was raided by federal agents for suspicion of money laundering.
They're looking for W-2 forms, tax forms. They've confiscated everything.
In order to avoid jail time, Shanita jumped at the chance to make a deal with law enforcement.
Shanita was very interested in working with the FBI agent, to better her situation. She pretty much started at the beginning and told them everything.
Shanita told them she had been working for Maurice Phillips, who was already on investigators' radar for drugs.
Maurice was a dangerous man.
He's involved in some really bad stuff and with some really bad people.
Detectives know that if Maurice found out Shanita was a rat, he would have wanted revenge. But before police can officially pin the double homicide on Maurice, they'll need cold, hard proof.
They're looking for paperwork, they're looking for documents, they're looking for the money trail.
However, it soon becomes evident that Maurice couldn't have been the one who pulled the trigger.
At the time of the crime, Maurice was at a luxury restaurant, which could be verified by surveillance cameras.
He had a rock-solid alibi.
Detectives know that just because Maurice didn't pull the trigger doesn't mean he's innocent. They wade through Maurice's financial records and see that he withdrew a large sum of cash on the same day as the murders.
Maurice could have set it up. It's a classic kind of gangland style hit. Murder for hire.
And within Maurice's phone records, detectives find a clue that just might lead them to a potential hitman. They see that on the day of the crime, Maurice made a flurry of phone calls to a single number.
He calls his cousin in Tennessee numerous times.
Detectives identify Maurice's cousin as 31-year-old Bryant Patterson. And from looking at Bryant's credit card transactions, it appears he made a quick round trip to Philadelphia in the days before and after the murders.
The cousin, not living in the Philadelphia area, was the best person to come in, get the job done, and go back home. Less likely to be a suspect because he's not from the area.
When detectives reach out to their counterparts in Tennessee for assistance with locating Bryant, they're met with a surprise.
Bryant was arrested in Tennessee on a gun charge, unrelated to this criminal activity in the Philadelphia area.
Detectives travel down to Tennessee to speak with Bryant. In an interrogation room, they're pleased to find that their suspect is willing to talk.
Bryant wanted to make a deal with the police.
Bryant admits that he's the one who gunned down Shanita and Dane.
He said, "I'm your shooter. I'm the one that did the killing."
Bryant was spilling the beans.
But Bryant isn't going down alone.
Chanel loved Maurice. Love makes you do crazy things sometimes.
She lost her best friend because she was at the point where she would do anything for a man.
Chanel really loved Maurice. she is with someone who is not just handsome, not just with a lot of swag, but he's sweeping her off her feet. He's providing the life that she wants. And she grows more and more in love with him, to the extent that she's willing to do, any and everything that he asks. She was willing to make some poor choices just out of her love for him.
Summer 2002. Philadelphia detectives are investigating drug kingpin Maurice Phillips for the brutal murders of Shanita Glanville and her godson, Dane King.
Shanita was working with the feds, and we're working up a case against Maurice, and this is the reason why he wanted Shanita eliminated.
But before detectives can take down Maurice Phillips, they need cold, hard proof of their theory. Luckily, they're now sitting down in a Tennessee interrogation room with someone who can help. Maurice's cousin, Bryant Patterson.
Bryant actually confessed to being the murderer. He pulled the trigger.
Bryant confirms he carried out the crime at his cousin's behest.
Bryant Patterson tells investigators that he didn't know Shanita personally. His cousin, Maurice, commissioned him to do a hit, and Maurice offered him $18,000 for the murder.
Bryant tells detectives it all started a few weeks before, on June 24th.
He got a phone call from his cousin. His cousin told him to come to Philly so they could take care of a problem.
Bryant says he made the drive up to Philly right away. And once he got there, Maurice filled him in.
Maurice informed Bryant that Shanita needed to be taken care of.
Maurice told Bryant that Shanita was a rat and she needed to be silenced before she took the entire organization down.
He said, you need to help eliminate this problem.
Maurice gives him a .45 caliber gun.
Maurice gave Bryant the address and told him, go take care of the snitch.
Bryant tells police that Maurice had carefully covered every detail.
Maurice wanted to be as far away from this crime as possible.
He's gonna be at a restaurant where a lot of people can see him.
Bryant then gives authorities a play-by-play of what happened on the night of June 25th.
He parked at a local business down the street from Shanita's home.
Bryant opened the door and crept inside, with Shanita none the wiser.
As soon as he sees her, he pulls out the .45, tells her to get on the ground, and shoots her in the back of the head twice. Executioner style.
Bryant says he didn't know Shanita's godson was visiting, but he couldn't leave any witnesses.
Dane King immediately is scared. He starts trying to fight Bryant.
He was fighting for his life. Bryant turned the gun on Dane, and he emptied the chamber.
Once both victims were dead, Bryant called Maurice.
He called Maurice Phillips on the phone and told him, it's done. I did it.
Bryant tells detectives that Maurice then gave him instructions to collect his earnings.
Maurice informed Bryant that you go and meet this person at this location and they're gonna pay you $16,000.
But Bryant says the location of the second portion of his earnings took him by surprise.
Maurice tells Bryant he can go to the boutique that he and Chanel own and he can get the rest of the money.
At this admission, detectives' ears perk up. Maurice's girlfriend has been on their radar ever since their talks with Shanita.
Shanita and Chanel were the best of friends. So much so that they were family.
According to Shanita, Chanel was in charge of recruitment for her man's drug empire. And Chanel was the one who had convinced Shanita to get involved in the first place.
Chanel explained that it was her role in Maurice's business to keep an eye out for people that were intelligent, people that could crunch numbers, that could move money around. And being that Shanita was a mortgage broker, she fit the bill to a T.
Now detectives wonder if Chanel also had a hand in planning her friend's demise.
Did Chanel have anything to do with it?
She didn't want to lose him. She didn't want her man to go to jail.
In the summer of 2002, police have charged 31-year-old Bryant Patterson for pulling the trigger in the brutal shooting of Shanita Glanville and her godson, Dane King. But Bryant claims it was all at the behest of his cousin, drug kingpin Maurice Phillips.
Bryant told the police, I did it for Maurice Phillips. That's who hired me to do it. And he paid me $18,000 to do this killing.
Maurice found out that Shanita, in essence, was a snitch. So he called Bryant and hired him to silence Shanita for good.
With more than enough evidence to take down Maurice, detectives only have one question remaining. Was Maurice's girlfriend, Chanel Cunningham, involved in the murder-for-hire plot? After all, Bryant did go to Chanel and Maurice's boutique after the murders to collect part of his earnings.
Maurice had given him the privy to go to Chanel's store and get $2,000 worth of goods for himself to make up for the other $2,000 of the $18,000 he was promised for the murder.
Unfortunately for police, Bryant doesn't seem to know much more about Chanel's involvement.
When he came into the store, he got what he wanted. He did, and he left.
After detectives arrive back in Philadelphia, police head to Chanel and Maurice's home with a search warrant in hand. The officers approach with caution.
They knew Maurice was dangerous. In order to get the power that he had, you had to be willing to do some dangerous things.
Maurice answers the door. And fortunately, he complies without incident. Chanel comes out just in time to see her man being cuffed, only to have the officers apprehend her next.
She knew when she was arrested that the only thing that she could do was cooperate with police. That her life of luxury and fantasy was over.
Back at the station, detectives speak to Maurice first.
They tell Maurice that they know that he had ordered the hit on Shanita. They have Bryant's confession and his role in murder for hire.
But Maurice isn't going down easy.
Maurice denies it. He says they're trying to throw him under the bus.
Maurice says that Brian did this all on his own. He wasn't involved.
With Maurice refusing to cooperate, detectives book him on a myriad of charges.
Maurice is charged with murder for hire. He's charged with criminal conspiracy, money laundering, and distributing cocaine.
Next up is Chanel. Detectives are still unsure if she was involved in the double homicide and are hoping they can finally get the truth.
They were able to connect Chanel with the drug business, but they were never really able to connect her to the murder.
Detectives notice that when they bring up Shanita's death, Chanel becomes visibly upset.
Chanel, she always considered Shanita to be like an aunt to her. They were very close.
At that point, it turned realistic. This was no longer the fairy tale.
Chanel tells detectives she's ready to talk.
As much as she loved Maurice, she was ready to tell whatever they needed to know.
She says at first, she fell in love with Maurice's swagger, and at the time, didn't realize what he was involved in. But after a while, Maurice told Chanel the truth.
Small businesses were the front for a drug business.
Chanel admits that although she was surprised at first, she wasn't fazed.
By this time, Chanel didn't even care how he made his money. She was down for him, and she was down to help.
She loves Maurice and she loves the lifestyle. So she's not going to give up on the love and she's not going to give up on the lifestyle.
Chanel tells detectives she slowly got integrated into Maurice's drug business.
Chanel became completely engrossed in the business, and it wasn't just Maurice anymore. It was both of them involved in this criminal activity.
Chanel says that's when she offered a solution that she'll regret for the rest of her life.
Chanel loved Maurice so much that she was willing to not only risk her life, her freedom, but her best friend also.
Summer 2002. Detectives have arrested Maurice Phillips and Chanel Cunningham for their role in a multi-million-dollar cocaine ring.
They are right on their heels of bringing down this drug conspiracy.
They believe Maurice paid his cousin, Bryant Patterson, to kill police informant Shanita Glanville.
Maurice tells Brian that he needed to get rid of Shanita before she could testify against him.
Unfortunately, Shanita wasn't the only one who suffered Maurice's wrath.
Bryant then turned the gun on the godson, Dane King.
With Bryant in custody and his confession in tow, detectives have what they need on Maurice. But they're still not sure if Chanel was involved in the hit on Shanita.
They can connect Chanel to the drug business, but they can't connect her to Shanita's death.
Fortunately, Chanel has decided to come clean and tell all.
She knows all she can do is cooperate and pray that they have leniency.
Chanel admits that she eventually became immersed in Maurice's drug business. And by the fall of 2000, their empire began soaring to new heights.
Their drug business was expanding, and they were making money exponentially. So much so that they kind of didn't know what to do with all the money that they were making.
They couldn't very well just walk into a bank and make millions of dollars in a deposit and expect no one to notice.
If you're living in a certain size house and you're driving a certain size car and you're paying certain size taxes, people start looking at your bank accounts.
That's when Chanel got an idea for a new recruit, her longtime family friend, Shanita Glanville.
Shanita Glanville was a successful mortgage broker. She was known for doing well in her business. She was known for crunching numbers.
Chanel and Shanita's relationship was really close. They loved each other. Shanita was pretty much an aunt towards Chanel.
Chanel knew that Shanita was exactly what Maurice would need to hide all of this illegal money they were making.
Chanel tells detectives when she made the proposal to Shanita, her friend was taken aback at first.
When Shanita heard these words, she couldn't believe that Chanel was wrapped up into something this major.
But when Chanel told Shanita how much money she would make, Shanita caved.
She agreed. As much as she was reluctant at first, she was looking at the green.
Chanel tells detectives, from that point on, she and Shanita worked together to strengthen the ring's cover.
They would create false documents, W-2s, anything to make the drug operation look as legitimate as possible.
They were buying properties and selling properties with false institutions that they owned.
Chanel says things were going well once Shanita got involved. That is, until Maurice caught wind of the raid at Shanita's house.
Maurice has been in this game a long time before he met Chanel. And so the people that he works with know people who know people.
When Maurice suspected that Shanita was the informant, he was furious.
Maurice told Chanel that if Shanita flipped on them, it would be Chanel's fault, since she's the one who brought Shanita into the business.
Maurice now wants Chanel to go and confront Shanita and ask her, are you cooperating? Are you telling on us? Are you squealing on us?
Chanel loved Maurice, and Chanel was willing to do anything for her man. She did as Maurice requested her to do. She went over, she talked to Shanita.
She demanded to know if Shanita had said anything about Chanel and Maurice's operation.
Shanita, she was absolutely frantic that Maurice knew about the raid.
She's scared out of her mind because she knows what Maurice is capable of.
Chanel says Shanita was hysterical, adamantly denying the allegations. And Chanel believed her.
She called Maurice on the phone and said, I just confronted her. She's not involved in ratting on us. She's still with us.
She tried to talk Maurice down, and she thought that she did.
He told her, okay, I'm not going to do anything to her.
Chanel said after that, she thought everything was squashed. She believed Shanita, and she thought that Maurice did too.
But a few days later, Chanel and Maurice got word from an associate that Shanita hadn't been honest with them.
He flew off the handle.
She knew the love that he had for her. And when it came down to the business, there is no love.
I believe Chanel really loved Maurice, but I also believe that she loved Maurice out of fear. And her love for Maurice out of fear created an insecure attachment with him. She feared losing him. So out of the fear, she engaged in behaviors that didn't match up. Even though she knew better and she was raised better, that fear outweighed everything else that she knew.
In the summer of 2002, police are speaking with 29-year-old Chanel Cunningham about her role in an extensive drug ring led by her kingpin boyfriend, Maurice Phillips. Detectives believe Maurice is also behind a murder-for-hire scheme that left 2 people dead, including Chanel's best friend, Shanita Glanville.
You've got Bryant, the guy that carried out the murder for hire, who's willing to testify. Then Maurice orchestrated it.
There's just one question remaining. Was Chanel involved in her friend's murder?
They know that Chanel is involved in the drug dealing, but they don't know if she's at all implicated in the murder of her friend Shanita.
Chanel tells detectives that a few weeks before the murder, Maurice ordered her to confront Shanita after he got wind of the raid at her house.
Chanel had come to her and confronted her.
When her friend denied working with police, she believed her.
Chanel called Maurice and told Maurice that she didn't betray them at all.
But the situation was far from over. A few days later, Maurice told Chanel that he found out Shanita had lied to her.
That must have been chilling when he told her that.
Chanel was shocked. She was afraid of Maurice.
Chanel knew Maurice was furious, but she loved him, She didn't want to think that he was capable of doing this to her friend.
Chanel says she thought about warning Shanita that Maurice had found out the truth, but didn't want to cross her man.
She's kind of torn between her friendship and her love for her man.
Chanel says on June 25th, Maurice told her that his cousin was going to retrieve some merchandise from their store.
When Bryant went to pick up his $2,000 in luxury items at the boutique, Chanel had no knowledge of why Maurice was being so generous. She no way thought that Bryant arrived in Philly from Tennessee to kill her best friend.
But later, Maurice unleashed his dirty secret.
Maurice told her what had happened. Shanita was dead.
Said, babe, I had to do this for us. You know, it was either her or us.
Chanel was devastated, but she tried not to show it.
Chanel says that after Maurice confessed, although she was shocked, they never spoke about it again. And she admitted that she still loved him.
This was a man she had been with for years. She didn't want to lose him.
Chanel says she regrets not coming forward to police. But most of all, she regrets that she didn't warn her friend.
Chanel tells police that she felt remorse for Shanita's death. She feels ashamed that she didn't say anything sooner.
Even though Chanel had nothing to do with her friend's murder, she's still charged with a plethora of crimes regarding her involvement in the drug organization.
She's charged with conspiracy to distribute cocaine, transactional money laundering, and aiding and abetting.
In January of 2010, Maurice's trial gets underway in the Eastern District of Pennsylvania. Chanel Cunningham is the prosecution's star witness.
Chanel decided to testify against Maurice because this is not how she wanted it to end. Yes, she loved Maurice, but she also loved Shanita, and Shanita was dead.
Bryant Patterson also testifies against Maurice. And the kingpin is ultimately found guilty.
He receives 5 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole.
For their cooperation, Chanel and Bryant are given leniency by the court.
Chanel Cunningham receives 12 years after pleading guilty for money laundering and drug conspiracy.
As for triggerman Bryant Patterson, he walks away with the least time of the 3.
After pleading guilty for murder for hire, Bryant Patterson receives 9 years and 4 months.
People were shocked and angry after hearing Bryant Patterson's sentencing.
The family was outraged at the fact that he got this little bit of time for double murder.
After serving 5 years of her 12-year sentence, Chanel was released early for good behavior.
In 2015, Chanel was released from prison. And I can only imagine that life for her is extremely different than it was back then. Not only has she lost her best friend, but now she has to try to put the pieces of her life back together.
Chanel's story is a tragic example of how love can steer you in the wrong direction and have deadly consequences.
I do believe that Chanel has regrets about everything that went down. She enjoyed the lifestyle, but realized that's a dark, slippery slope.
There's no doubt that she loved him. Even if that love was misplaced, she really loved this man, and she was more than willing to do anything that she could to help him and to protect him.
It's wonderful to be in love, but if our love drives us to make poor decisions, we have to be mindful, because I think that there are natural consequences that comes with, with following love without reason. Life is just absolutely invaluable. So When you're at that crossroads between love and life, choose life.
Being in love can make you feel like you have everything you'll ever need. It can make you look away, even when the one you love hurts the people who are most important to you. But love doesn't always last forever. And when it's gone, and you've turned your back on your true friends, who will you turn to then? They say home is where the heart is. With the right person, you don't need four walls to feel at home.
They absconded kind of like, gypsies would do.
He made her feel comforted and protected.
But what if there is something dark hiding inside the walls of the heart?
They were all evil and ugly.
It was so heinous. It was so horrific. The parties involved in this case went to great lengths to torture this young man.
The caller says that his body was fed to pigs.
If you're trapped in the darkness, your only hope for escape is to set a fire.
She wanted to, hang on to somebody who she thought loved her.
And let it burn.
These two were truly sick and twisted.
November 17th, 2016. It's a breezy autumn day in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Tulsa, Oklahoma is the second largest city in the state of Oklahoma. It has a population of a little over 1 million people. It's a great place to live.
One of the things that I'm proud of about Tulsa is we have Black Wall Street here. Because of the attention that Black Wall Street has gotten in the past few years, we have a lot of traffic coming through Tulsa, and because it is such a growing city, the crime kind of grows with it.
The growing crime rate keeps the Tulsa Police Department busy.
Police were working on a case where a man named Carl Duke Harris had been shot in a gang-related incident.
We were investigating the shooting, and the victim at that time was not expected to live. Had multiple gunshot wounds.
What police don't know is that they are about to get a phone call that will take this case in an even darker direction.
So the Tulsa Police Department receives a tip through Crime Stoppers that there was a possible murder that had occurred that the police department was unaware of.
The caller tells police that 23-year-old Courtney Palmer had been beaten to death in an apartment.
The name is familiar to police.
We have an active case going with Courtney Palmer.
Courtney was a witness to the shooting of Carl Harris. Police had been trying to contact him for a few days to give a statement.
Courtney Palmer had been involved in other crimes, but he was not known to be a violent criminal.
The caller tells police that not only was Courtney brutally beaten to death, it gets worse.
The caller says that Courtney's body was fed to pigs.
We've had at least one more victim that has allegedly been fed to the hogs in Muskogee, and that person has never been found. So that Crime Stoppers tips definitely has some legs to it. We take it seriously at that point.
Despite Courtney being a criminal and having a long rap sheet, most of the officers were fond of Courtney.
Courtney is kind of a mainstay. Even though he's 23 years old, I knew him when he was 8 or 9. He ran the streets and I was working patrol.
Unfortunately, when Courtney was a teenager, he kind of got involved with that street life.
Courtney got roped into the wrong crowd and made friends with members of the infamous Crips gang.
Despite his criminal involvement, Courtney was well loved. He was known as a jokester. He was known for his smile, that he can light up any room that he walked in. He can lift anybody's mood if they were feeling down.
He was gang-related, but it was obvious to us that Courtney cared about his family. His family cared about Courtney.
Courtney was a father to 3 children. They were the #1 priority in his life.
Courtney was a family guy. He had 2 daughters and a son. He stayed actively involved in his children's lives. The children were by 2 different women. Even though the relationships didn't last, he still stayed engaged with his children.
Courtney had a big heart. He would do anything for anybody. Just a very generous person was the impression I got about Courtney.
Everybody kind of knew Courtney Palmer. Courtney has some issues, but he was always respectful.
So who would want to kill this young father? And why? Police asked the tipster for more details.
So the anonymous tipster alerts police that Courtney was killed because there were rumors on the street that he was involved in setting up Carl Duke Harris, who was shot.
Police knew Courtney was a witness to this shooting, but this was the first time they heard he may have actually been involved.
The tipster claims a woman named Charletha Mack lured Courtney to her house 2 days after Duke Harris's shooting. This isn't the first time police have heard the name Charletha Mack.
Allegedly, Courtney Palmer was at Charletha Mack's house up north. We know that house. There's other killers that have been in and around that house. So when that name comes up, it leads credence to the Crime Stoppers tip. It just starts steamrolling that. All indications is that Courtney is going to be dead.
Tulsa police officers know they need to speak with 39-year-old Charletha Mack as soon as possible. They obtain a search warrant and rush to Charletha's home, hoping the tipster was wrong.
We go up and knock and announce at the door. I was the supervisor on that warrant, so I was outside the front door.
The door slowly opens, and Charletha Mack appears.
Charletha's demeanor at the time of the search warrant was initially defiant, that could not believe we were there. So what? Was what I remember her telling me. So what?
Charletha claims she had no idea what happened to Courtney. She hasn't seen him in days.
Police execute the search warrant, looking for any signs of foul play.
The house is not in disarray to the point where you would expect if a murder had occurred, a beating like we heard. We don't find Courtney, we don't find evidence that Courtney has been killed.
But Sergeant Walker and his team don't give up that easily.
We had included our crime scene folks coming with us as part of the service of the search warrant. That doesn't always happen, but we knew we were going to need their expertise in luminoling.
With the help of the luminol, crime scene investigators are able to uncover evidence in the bathroom that was invisible to detectives' eyes.
The luminol that was in the bathroom reacted in several places. The bathtub, the bathroom sink. So that lets us know that it's not just somebody that nicked their finger and they bled a little bit and they wiped it up. It kind of is reminiscent to a beating, and that's a key part into our investigation.
There's evidence that something extremely violent happened in that room.
This has started us to believe that we've got a murder and we've got people hiding it, so it's just going to be a matter of time.
November 17th, 2016. While investigating the shooting of Carl Duke Harris, police in Tulsa, Oklahoma, have received a tip that Duke's friend, 23-year-old Courtney Palmer, has been beaten to death and fed to pigs.
Many people believed that Courtney had been involved in setting up Duke when he got shot, but police did not believe that that occurred.
The tip has led them to the home of Charletha Mack, where the tipster claims Courtney was killed. Though Charletha contends she has no idea what happened to Courtney or where he is.
Her demeanor was one that we would expect of somebody that's been talked to by law enforcement before, used to getting her way.
However, there are clear signs of a violent altercation in Charletha's bathroom.
This was not a lot of blood, but it was a significant amount to know that what our investigation was leading us to is true. Somebody got beaten in the bathtub, on the tile, and at the bathroom sink.
As CSI documents the findings, Charlitha Mack is taken back to the police station for an interview.
Charlitha, once she was in the interview room, finally decided that the truth was about the only thing that she could keep straight. Her lies were just not going to hold up. That's usually the case. So when she started telling us what happened, it fit absolutely with the investigation.
Police ask Charlitha about her relation to Courtney Palmer.
Charlitha tells police that Courtney often hung out at her house. He had a baby with her niece, and she considered him like a nephew.
Charlitha says on the night in question that there were two other people staying at her house, 39-year-old Gerald Lowe and his girlfriend.
Mac, when we interviewed her, only knew Gerald Lowe. She knew Gerald Lowe's girlfriend, but did not know her identity. And of course, when she lies about one thing, we're gonna call a liar on that one too, but she stuck with the not knowing.
Charlitha explains that Gerald, like many others in their circle, was angry about the shooting of their mutual friend, Carl Duke Harris.
Gerald believed the rumors that Courtney had something to do with Duke getting shot.
Charlitha says she doesn't think Courtney was involved, but Gerald was adamant that he was to blame.
Around 3 a.m., Courtney showed up to Charlitha's house.
She explains that Courtney just pops in, and that's totally understandable for Courtney's behavior. Courtney would show up when Courtney showed up, and he's obviously feeling a little bit triggered by the shooting of Duke, and he's talking to Mac about all that.
Charlitha tells police she had no idea the horrors that Gerald and his girlfriend had planned.
Gerald quickly got violent with Courtney. He was slapping him around, kind of pushing him around, trying to get some understanding of what happened and his involvement with Duke.
As Gerald was assaulting Courtney, he encouraged his girlfriend to get involved. Once she got involved, she took things to a whole new level.
The woman sat on Courtney's lap, straddles him, and takes out a pocket knife and slashes him on the cheek.
Charlitha says the couple used the knife to force Courtney into the bathroom, where things got even worse. Charlitha says Courtney was telling them he had nothing to do with the shooting, but they wouldn't relent. She says she was in a state of shock, too terrified of Gerald and his girlfriend to intervene.
She could hear them beating him for several hours.
She gave gruesome details as what was going on, and she allowed that to happen. I mean, it is her house. At any point, she could have called 911. It's hard to feel sorry for Mac at that point.
She confirms that Gerald's girlfriend left the residence at one point, went to the convenience store down the road to get bags of ice. When the girlfriend arrived back at the residence, Gerald forced Courtney into the bathtub where it was filled with cold water and ice, and Courtney was forced to remain in the bathtub.
They then poured boiling hot water on Courtney as well.
Finally, with a rush of adrenaline, Courtney leaps out of the bathtub and tries to fight for his life. The tussle progresses into the hallway.
When Courtney started fighting back, Gerald grabbed him and began strangling him, at which time the girlfriend began to kick Courtney in the face and chest.
So at some point, Courtney stopped moving, he stopped breathing, and it was at that point Courtney was dead.
Charlitha says that she was petrified. She watched as Gerald and his girlfriend grabbed blankets to wrap Courtney's body and loaded it into a plastic tub.
They took it out to Gerald's white pickup truck.
Gerald and his girlfriend then drive away.
Police asked Charlitha where the couple went. Was Courtney actually fed to pigs, like the Crime Stoppers tipster reported?
As for what happened with the body after that, Charletha said Gerald told her that he got rid of the body in a rural area outside the city.
With only one name to go on for now, detectives put out an APB for their new prime suspect, Gerald Lowe, and his white pickup truck.
Gerald had a long rap sheet, which included multiple drug charges, as well as multiple offenses of assault and battery.
But who is his girlfriend and alleged co-conspirator? Detectives are about to get one step closer to finding that out.
She's walking through the store like she doesn't have a care in the world.
There's no doubt this is their girl.
Of course, all murders are tragic, but boy, the way it happened, who it happened to, it's kind of tragic. Courtney Palmer is one that sticks out. You just have to say that name and we know what you're talking about. A lot of us knew Courtney Palmer from when he was a little child. Courtney was respectful to law enforcement. I mean, he was doing illegal things, but he wasn't doing them to us. So that hurts us just a little bit.
In November of 2016, detectives investigating Courtney Palmer's disappearance and possible murder have just gotten a lead on two suspects: 39-year-old Gerald Lowe and his unidentified girlfriend.
Gerald has a long history with the law, but law enforcement are still trying to figure out who his girlfriend is and where they are now.
A witness to the crime, Charletha Mack, has told police the gruesome details that she claims led to Courtney's demise. But one detail in particular piques detectives' interest.
During Mac's interview, when she finally decided to tell us what happened inside the house, she said at some point, the girlfriend went to the Quick Trip to get some ice. And that really is a key piece because at the Quick Trip, they're gonna have video surveillance.
Detectives let Charletha go, for now, and retrieve the convenience store surveillance footage from the night of November 16th.
As they're viewing the footage from the surveillance, they see a white pickup truck pull into the lot in front of the convenience store, the same vehicle that Gerald has been known to drive.
The suspect is wearing a distinctive hooded sweatshirt with Cal written on it. You know, and we're in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Not that Cal is unusual, but it's not prevalent in a Big 12 state, you know, so we're not gonna see a Pac-10 state come in.
The surveillance video shows the woman casually walking through the store, purchasing snacks along with 4 bags of ice. She makes the purchase and then leaves the store.
Detectives conclude this must be Gerald's mystery girlfriend, but they still don't know her name.
Once we get Lowe identified from the interviews and the information and all the surveillance video that we're gathering from the Quick Trip, everybody gets sent this information with those pictures on it. So maybe somebody knows that and will eventually call us and give us some information.
Not long after releasing the still photographs to the media, police get a tip. But it's not on the girlfriend. It's about Gerald.
The tipster says he has seen Gerald Lowe at Monica Scott's apartment. Monica just happens to be Courtney Palmer's ex-girlfriend.
Could Monica be Gerald's co-conspirator? Perhaps she started a relationship with Gerald after ending things with Courtney.
Detectives head to her apartment in hopes of getting to Gerald Lowe before he makes a run for it.
That information led us to the search warrant of Monica Scott's apartment. We knocked on the door, she answered the door.
When detectives arrive at Monica's apartment, they find her, but there is no sign of Gerald Lowe.
It's also clear Monica isn't the woman from the convenience store video.
We had talked to her, told her why we were there, and she was very cooperative at that point.
Detectives show Monica the images of the woman from the surveillance footage, and she is able to identify her right away.
Monica immediately identifies the woman as 25-year-old Michaela Riddle.
Michaela Riddle had kind of a rough life. She didn't have a very good upbringing. I think she had been abused in different ways. So she didn't have a very good life.
Michaela had difficulty holding down a steady job. That meant she had to couch surf from friend to friend's house to keep a roof over her head.
What Michaela really longed for was a man to help take care of her.
Then she met Gerald Lowe. Although he was a decade older, he was handsome and charming and had a smooth demeanor.
Unlike Michaela, Gerald had a decent upbringing, but he chose to rebel and live a life of crime.
Gerald Lowe, he was a very polite, very respectful young man. He used to do construction work and carpentry work, and that's how I knew him. And so I don't know that he had such a difficult background where he couldn't have done something different with his life.
Gerald was connected to the local chapter of the Crips, and he had a lengthy criminal record, but he kept Michaela safe. He made her feel comforted and protected.
The two quickly became inseparable. Gerald didn't have a home of his own, but Michaela didn't mind. She was used to the couch surfing lifestyle.
Michaela's hope was that they'd be able to lift each other up and forge a happier future together.
Even though they didn't have a house of their own, as long as they had each other, they were home.
According to Monica, Gerald and Michaela had been living with her, but she said she had not seen them in a few days.
They absconded kind of like, gypsies would do.
Monica tells police she and Courtney had a fight and broke up a few days before he disappeared. But when she heard he was missing, she was distraught.
Monica tried to reach out to him via phone, but she wasn't able to get in contact with him. She believed something terrible had happened to Courtney, and she started crying.
Michaela was at the house at the time and asked why she was upset. She admitted she was crying over Courtney.
Instead of comforting her friend, Michaela says something that chills Monica to the bone.
That's when Michaela responded, "Oh, you're never gonna see him again."
When Monica asked what she meant by that, Michaela said, "This is about to be some First 48 stuff."
So that was a clear indication to Monica that her ex-boyfriend, Courtney, had been murdered.
Monica admits that she should have called the police right then and there, but she was scared and confused. She was hoping that Courtney would just come back home and everything would be back to normal.
Detectives ask Monica if she can give them any information that will help track down these potential killers.
Monica confirms to police that Gerald and Michaela do drive a white pickup truck, but she has no idea where they are now.
Then, Monica supplies them with one invaluable piece of information: Michaela's phone number.
Riddle's phone number, that's a key piece of evidence in any murder investigation. If we can get that phone number, then we can start doing work on that.
This is like gold for detectives. With this, they can track Michaela's general location.
Police are one step closer to getting justice for Courtney Palmer. Now, it's only a matter of time.
So they know that apprehending Gerald and Michaela is going to be the key to solving this case.
In the winter of 2016, Tulsa police finally have a name for the female co-conspirator in the alleged murder of 23-year-old Courtney Palmer.
Police now believe that Gerald Lowe and Michaela Riddle are responsible for what happened to Courtney, but they still haven't found them or Courtney's body.
Now that they have Michaela's phone number, detectives hope it can lead them to where she and Gerald are hiding out.
Once Monica Scott was able to give us Michaela Riddle's phone number, we were able to get the GPS phone logs from the phone company, and then that gave us an area of town where there's several apartment complexes.
It was determined that the best course of action is for the police to just kind of slowly patrol these different apartment complexes and hotels in the hopes that they would be able to find this white pickup truck in one of the parking lots.
On December 4th, 2016, police finally find what they're looking for.
We located the white pickup, backed in, and then from there, we were able to get that locked down, surrounded, surveillance set up on it. We were not going to lose the truck. Our intel person was able to locate and determine that Gerald Lowe's uncle stayed in an apartment right there. where that truck was located. And then the investigation really starts to focus in on that particular area. We spend a number of hours surveillance on the truck, and then we decide to go up and knock on the door and get after Michaela Riddle and Gerald Lowe. It's kind of the most dangerous part of our investigation up to this point, because we're going to go and get two killers out of an apartment.
Prepared for the worst, police make their way to the apartment door.
We don't know what to expect. The most dangerous part was the actual confronting of Lowe and Riddle. And we decided to go in and pop the door open.
With tensions high, police enter the apartment. To their surprise, it appears empty.
Then we search an apartment for killers.
Realizing all hope is lost, Gerald Lowe comes out with his hands up.
We make voice contact with Lowe and we get him out, and Riddle is subsequently also found inside the apartment.
But Michaela is not going down without a fight.
Mostly I remember from them was Riddle's demeanor. She was just hateful and mean, and if she could hurt you, she would. So we had to be on our game to make sure we took her into custody without anybody else getting hurt or her getting hurt also. Lowe, on the other hand, was more agreeable. I think he realized that he was just gonna take his chances explaining circumstances as opposed to fighting us at the apartment. Once they're in custody, it's kind of a sigh of relief.
Gerald and Michaela are placed in the squad cars while detectives scour the apartment for evidence.
It was obvious they were kind of couch surfing because their clothes were just there. They weren't hanging in the closet, so they weren't going to have a residence there. So it allows us to search a limited area, and then we're able to find the Cal sweatshirt, which is key to Riddle's involvement in this case.
Satisfied with the evidence collected, authorities take the couple back to the station for questioning. Up first in the hot seat is Gerald Lowe.
Detective White goes in there and explains why he's here. He kind of understands that, yeah, we're there for a reason. He knows what he did, but he still is in denial.
When confronted with Charletha Mack's statement about his and Michaela's involvement in Courtney's brutal murder, Gerald shuts down.
Obviously, he has the right to remain silent. He imparts that right to an attorney, and once that happens, we're kind of done. So we leave the room.
Hands tied with Gerald, detectives hope his girlfriend will be more helpful.
She's as hateful in the interrogation room as she was in the apartment. Not cooperative. She's telling us that we should all have that information. And of course we did. But usually what we want to do is start a conversation and gather some type of rapport with her. But she was unrapportable, if that's even a word.
Michaela plays dumb. She denies knowing Courtney Palmer, Charletha Mack, and Monica Scott. The only person she claims to know besides Gerald is Carl Duke Harris, the man many believed Courtney set up to be shot.
I do remember her making some comment throughout this case that Harris was her cousin, so there's family blood, if you can believe her.
Detectives try hitting her with the hard evidence.
When shown the still photographs from the surveillance video, she denies being the person in the video.
She was not going to have any of it from us, and basically the interview was shut down, mainly because it was obvious that she wasn't going to give us anything. She wasn't going to cooperate.
She demands to be taken to her cell so that she can go to sleep.
With neither suspect cooperating, it's more important than ever that investigators find Courtney's body if they hope to get convictions.
Detectives are afraid that they may not ever be able to find the body of Courtney Palmer.
But before long, they'll get another tip that could help them do just that.
The caller says that Courtney's body was fed to pigs.
The scene was horrendous.
It was just awful, the disregard that was shown for the young man.
December 2016. Police in Tulsa, Oklahoma finally have their prime suspects in custody for the tragic disappearance and alleged murder of 23-year-old Courtney Palmer.
Investigators believe Gerald Lowe and Michaela Riddle tortured Courtney for hours and ultimately strangled him to death.
Obviously, after the arrest, we still have to locate Courtney's body. We want to put Courtney out there on the media. Here are the people that are involved. We show the truck, we show Lowe, we show Riddle.
And it doesn't take long for another tip to come in.
The next day, we get a phone call from Muskogee. So it all starts to roll downhill at that point in locating Courtney.
According to the tipster, Gerald had been seen living in an abandoned farmhouse miles away in Summit, Oklahoma.
Apparently, this area used to be a pig farm or somebody raised pigs there before. It was just kind of a desolate country area. There was a neighbor who lived next door who knew Mr. Lowe, who had said he had seen him there around the time these events were happening.
They head out to Summit in search of Courtney's remains, or the pigs who ate them.
We're able to locate the house that the caller called in after viewing our media presentation and search the premises.
Inside the dark, abandoned home, investigators scour for any sign of Courtney or evidence that might connect their perps to the scene.
They actually find a vacuum erection device and a sock. They know they can test these for DNA and hopefully tie Gerald and Michaela back to the scene.
Unfortunately, they don't find any other evidence, such as the pocket knife used against Courtney. They don't find the plastic tub that the couple supposedly used to transport the body.
In the backyard, investigators don't find any pigs, but they do find something very disturbing.
In a fire pit was the remnants of a human body.
The body was found just burned in a heap on a mattress, I believe.
The body there that was burned in the fire pit is unrecognizable to us. It's obviously a human skull. You can see that. So we know we have a body, but we know who we're looking for. At that point, I think we were confident that that's going to be Courtney's body.
The remains are sent to the lab for DNA testing. And it is confirmed that they are, in fact, Courtney Palmer's.
We were able to make notification to Courtney's family at that time. Every time we tell a family their loved one is dead, and it doesn't matter if it's a Courtney Palmer with a rap sheet or somebody that is 18 years old that doesn't have a rap sheet, the reaction is the same. The family cries, and they should, and it hurts. And that takes a little piece of us too.
Lab DNA results also come back on the sock and the vacuum erection device found inside the abandoned home. It's a match to Gerald Lowe and Michaela Riddle.
Michaela and Gerald were charged originally with assault with intent to kill because we didn't have the body, obviously. Once Courtney's body was discovered in Muskogee, we upgraded the charge to first-degree murder.
Charletha Mack is also charged with accessory to murder.
Mack was charged with accessory to a felony, and that's, obviously because it was her house. She didn't call, she didn't intervene.
As investigators build their case for trial, they begin piecing together what led up to Courtney Palmer's gruesome homicide.
It all started on November 8th, 2016, when Carl Duke Harris was shot in an apartment complex.
Duke was Michaela's cousin. She, Duke, and Gerald were really close.
From what investigators can gather, Courtney was the one that dropped Duke off at the apartment. So that's where the rumors about Courtney being behind Duke's shooting started. Michaela and Gerald had bought into the rumors, hook, line, and sinker.
Gerald was used to meeting violence with violence.
Michaela did not have a violent criminal background like Gerald. She had never been involved in anything like this. But she trusted her man, and she agreed to go with the plan.
Michaela loved Gerald so much, she was willing to do whatever he wanted.
On the night of November 10th, Gerald and Michaela went to Charlitha Mack's house and waited for Courtney to show up.
Around 3 a.m., Courtney arrived. He was talking to Charlitha when Gerald and Michaela attacked, attempting to get him to admit to setting up Duke.
They tortured and beat him to death after he refused to admit that he was involved in the shooting of Duke Harris.
Once Courtney was dead, they loaded his body in a plastic tub and drove it out to the old farmhouse where Gerald sometimes stayed.
Investigators believe the first thing they did when they arrived was have sex on a mattress in the abandoned house.
They then went outside and set Courtney's body on fire along with the mattress they just used.
Soon, police will learn that this crime was even more senseless than they could have imagined.
Turns out, Duke Harris is alive. He survived the shooting, and he is adamant Courtney had nothing to do with setting him up.
Michaela and Gerald had done all this to Courtney for nothing.
I think the main thing about this case that stood out to me was it was so heinous. I don't want to make murder sound like it's run-of-the-mill, but this wasn't a run-of-the-mill murder. I mean, the parties involved in this case went to great lengths to torture Courtney, to dispose of his body in a disrespectful way, but the torture of it, I think, was very disturbing to me. You didn't normally see crimes committed in this horrific of a manner in the Black community.
Investigators in Tulsa, Oklahoma, are building their case against suspects Gerald Blow and Michaela Riddle. The couple is accused of torturing 23-year-old Courtney Palmer to death over an unsupported rumor.
So the rumor is that Courtney set up Carl Duke Harris to be shot on November 8th, but police have not been able to substantiate the claim that Courtney was behind it. All Courtney did was drop Duke off at the apartment where he was shot.
And soon, investigators receive stunning news that proves Courtney's murder was just as senseless as they thought.
Carl Harris did recover from the gunshot wounds. Whether it's a full recovery, I'm sure you shot 6 or 7 times. You're going to feel it for the rest of your life. But as far as I know, he's up and mobile.
With Carl Duke Harris healed enough to speak, detectives are able to ask him about the night he was shot.
Duke says he doesn't know who the shooter was, but is 100% certain that Courtney did not set him up.
Courtney was innocent all along.
You know, it was really unfortunate that his life would be cut short over a rumor. There was no evidence or proof that he was involved in the shooting of Duke.
Prosecutors make a deal with Charlitha Mack. In exchange for 2 years in prison and 18 years on parole, she agrees to testify against Gerald and Michaela in court.
And she pleads guilty to her accessory charge.
From everything that came a lot with Lowe and Riddle, this was not going to end well for them.
In December 2019, faced with the death penalty, Gerald Blow pleads guilty to all the charges against him: kidnapping, first-degree murder, committing a gang-related offense, and desecration of a human corpse. He is sentenced to life in prison plus 5 years.
In Gerald Lowe's case, I was the sole fact finder and sentencing authority, if you will. He didn't have the benefit of a jury. As a judge, I weigh all the facts and what his role was in the event, and in my opinion, I gave him the sentence that I thought he deserved.
In early 2020, Michaela Riddle decides to take her chances at trial.
With regard to Michaela, I think the defense strategy was to hone in on how horrible her life had been and how she would do anything to keep the love of Gerald Lowe.
Luckily for Michaela, the jury is convinced.
When the case goes to the jury, they agree that Gerald was the mastermind behind the murder and that Michaela took part in the horrific crime to make him happy.
Michaela's charges are reduced to second-degree murder kidnapping, and desecration of a corpse. She is sentenced to 49 years in prison.
The big difference between what Miss Riddle got and what Mr. Lowe got was she went to a jury trial and she had 12 people deciding her fate. He had me.
Do I think that justice was served? Looking back at it, knowing that Michaela got 49 years, I would have liked to have seen life without parole.
Michaela will forever have to live with the guilt of taking a young father away from his family for something he didn't even do.
She was only involved in this kind of activity because she wanted to hang on to somebody who she thought loved her by doing the things that he wanted to do. Michaela wanted to please Gerald Lowe.
You have to be mindful of who you surround yourself with. You know, have your own conscience, be able to make decisions on your own. When you recognize that things are not aligned with your values, then sometimes you have to exit stage left.
Young ladies just need to know their worth. You don't need this dude to manage your life. You can manage your own life. You're intelligent, you're beautiful. You can get out and do your own thing. Once you get past that hurdle and learn to love yourself, you can do anything. You can do anything.
If home is where the heart is, what happens when that heart is filled with hate? Before you know it, the darkness can consume you, and your only chance for escape is to burn the home to the ground.
दुनिया दो दिन दी बंदावे मौत दमाल दुनिया दो दिन दी दुनिया दो दिन दी बंदावे मौत दमाल दुनिया दो दिन दी आए कर तू कुछ ख्याल दुनिया दो दिन दी सुल्तान भी आए बड़े बड़े सुल्तान भी आए ओढ़क जा बिच खाक समाए ओढ़क जा बिच खाक समाए आए हो गए ख्वाब ख्याल दुनिया दो दिन दी आए हो गए ख्वाब ख्याल दुनिया दो दिन दी दुनिया दो दिन दी बंदावे मौत दमाल दुनिया दो दिन दी ऊंचे लम्हे महल बना दे ऊंचे लम्हे महल बना दे दगा फरेब ते जुल्म कमा दे दगा फरेब ते जुल्म कमा दे हाय कुछ नहीं खड़दे नाल दुनिया दो दिन दी हाय कुछ नहीं खड़दे नाल दुनिया दो दिन दी ओ दुनिया दो दिन दी बंदावे मौत दमाल दुनिया दो दिन दी दुनिया देंदी दुख बतेरे दुनिया देंदी दुख बतेरे वीरा कोलू वीर नखेड़े वीरा कोलू वीर नखेड़े आए मावा तू बिछड़े लाल दुनिया दो दिन दी आए मावा तू बिछड़े लाल दुनिया दो दिन दी ओ दुनिया दो दिन सुख दे सजना सारे संगी नस जांदे जद आवे तंगी नस जांदे जद आवे तंगी हाय कोई नहीं गम दा प्याल दुनिया दो दिन दी ओह कोई नहीं गम दा प्याल दुनिया दो दिन दी हंसना रोना गम लाचारी हंसना रोना गम लाचारी आज मेरी कल तेरी बारी आज मेरी कल तेरी बारी हाय कंजरी दीनी मिसाल दुनिया दो दिन दी हाय कर तू कुछ ख्याल दुनिया दो दिन दी ओ दुनिया दो दिन दी बंदा बे मौत दा माल दुनिया दो दिन दी ओह कर तू कुछ ख्याल दुनिया दो दिन दी भूत वे तुड़ानी मिट्टी दा वीरा भूत तुड़ानी मिट्टी दा वीरा अपना आप संभाल बशीरा अपना आप संभाल बशीरा हाय मिट्टी मिट्टी दा माल दुनिया दो दिन दी हाय मिट्टी मिट्टी दा माल दुनिया दो दिन दी हाय कर तू कुछ ख्याल दुनिया दो दिन दी हाय कर तू कुछ ख्याल दुनिया दो दिन दी ओ दुनिया दो दिन दी बंदा मिट्टी दा माल दुनिया दो दिन दी हाय कर तू कुछ ख्याल दुनिया दो दिन दी हाय कर तू कुछ ख्याल दुनिया दो दिन दी दुनिया दो दिन दी बंदा बे मौत दा माल दुनिया दो दिन दी दुनिया दो दिन दी बंदा बे मौत दा माल दुनिया दो दिन दी आए कर तू कुछ ख्याल दुनिया दो दिन दी सुल्तान भी आए बड़े बड़े सुल्तान भी आए ओढ़क जा बिच खाक समाए ओढ़क जा बिच खाक समाए हाय हो गए ख्वाब ख्याल दुनिया दो दिन दी हाय हो गए ख्वाब ख्याल दुनिया दो दिन दी दुनिया दो दिन दी बंदा वे मौत दा माल दुनिया दो दिन दी